Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that if you're returning. How are you today? Before we get started, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter yet, please do so, okay? All the information's in the description box below, so you can get started. Email me, Trish, okay? We'll get you set up, all right? Also, if you have anything that you would like to contribute to our December newsletter, if you're a veteran or active military and you would like to be highlighted in December's newsletter, even January's newsletter, okay? Email us a picture of your veteran or your active military and we'll put you in the newsletter, all right? If you have a pet that you would like highlighted, send us a picture and a little bit about your pet, okay? Even if you have recipes, prepping tips and tricks, or anything that you would like to get out there for people to be aware of, okay? Because sometimes there's things that we can't talk about on this channel, you know, because I can get in trouble. So if there's anything that you would like for people to know about, we could put it in the newsletter for you, okay? So let's get started. Coffee? Maybe a snack, maybe some chocolate, ice cream, pie, cake. You just never know with me or what's going on in the world, right? So I was sent this and I said, wow, what? Okay, this is a little bit of an overreach. So apparently, this is in the infrastructure bill, okay? And I was like, I didn't know about this. Why would this even be in an infrastructure bill? But apparently it is. So we're learning more, okay, about what's in the infrastructure bill as it's making its way through Congress. And if you plan on buying a new car, you might want to, rethink that, because from what I understand, there's going to be breathalyzers in new cars. If you've heard about this, let's talk about this, because it's like, what in God's name, why? Okay, so I mean, I understand, not wanting, drunk driving and stuff like that, because I'm a huge advocate, to stop that at all cost. Right on. But for someone like I have never drove inebriated or under the influence of anything ever. Not once, not now, not ever will I ever do something so irresponsible. Okay. But to put this into every new car? Does someone want to explain this to me? Because I don't get it. I mean, I don't plan on buying a new car. Okay, I'm perfectly happy with my 2013 Kia. Okay, it gets me from point A to point B, and it's really great on gas. So I'm just saying, what I don't know. I mean, this is not going to stop people from driving like jackasses. It's really not. And being irresponsible morons. I don't know. I'll leave the link in the description box below, like I always do, so you guys can have your references. But if you've heard about this, let's talk, because this is you know what I mean? So then this was brought to my attention and I said, what in God's name? All right. Yeah, this was sent to me. Okay. And I said, wow. All right. So the head of a Canadian emergency department has had a change in medical understanding after he diagnosed a patient with climate change. Yeah, you heard that right. So I'm probably going to get in really a lot of trouble for saying that, but it's the truth, okay? And we only put the truth out here on the channel here. You know what I mean? So I I'm a I'm going to leave the link in the description box. Okay, you guys can read it if you want to, because this kind of made my brain hurt a little bit, you know. And I just don't. How does one get diagnosed with climate change? I understand climate change. Okay, I understand what it's all about. I've read a lot into it. One of those, you know, my eyes roll so far back that you can actually hear my eye roll. But wow, man, that's a lot. That's a I have no words. So, on to this. Okay, so researchers have mapped the discharge of global wastewater, treated septic and raw sewage into coastal ecosystems in what they say is the finest detail yet, and the numbers are intimidating. Scientists from the University of California and Columbia University calculated the volume of nitrogen and fecal indicator organisms, and fecal is FAECAL, entering the ocean from about 135,000 watersheds around the world. A watershed is an area of land often bound by hills or mountains that drain all the water from that land to a common outlet, such as like rivers. Okay. And they found that just 25 watersheds contribute nearly half of all the wastewater nitrogen, with the Yangtze River, and that's YANGTZE in China, contributing 11% of the world's total. The researchers, okay, they calculated that in 2015, around 6.2 million tons of nitrogen entered coastal waters of human wastewater. That's gross. But I'll go on. So this was about 40% of the nitrogen that agricultural runoff would normally feed into coastal waters. The watersheds that released the most nitrogen from wastewater were located in Korea, India, and China. However, in terms of the overall contribution of nitrogen to coastal ecosystems, the United States was responsible for the third highest level behind China and India. Just under a third of wastewater generated nitrogen reaching our oceans globally was from untreated sewage, which treated and septic making up the rest. While treating sewage removes solid and some organic matter, nitrogen is still present in treated wastewater. And the research is published today in a scientific journal called PLOS One. And plus is not PLUS, it's PLOS One. Not number one, the word one. Okay, if you wanted to look that up. But it's in the article that I'm reading. So when you click on the link, it'll come up. Okay. So the most surprising variable here that changed the volume of nitrogen discharge was the amount of meat in local diets. Lead author and postdoctoral research Cascade Tuholsk from Columbia University said, as someone who studies food systems, the most surprising result was the contrast between China and Tibet, India, Bangladesh in terms of nitrogen inputs. So I will leave this link in the description box for you guys, okay, because that is concerning. That we are right behind China and India. That's concerning. It really, truly is. So now on to this. Sometimes you just have to sit back and think, because sometimes the stuff that you read and that you research is so overwhelming. You just, you know what I mean? It really is. It gets overwhelming sometimes. So the decarbonization, terraforming of planet Earth is now underway. A new project has already been launched that will install mega machines across 5 United States to harvest life molecules out of the atmosphere in an effort to shut down photosynthesis and unleash global food crop failures that destroy human civilization. And you know what photosynthesis is, right? That's for plants and trees and such to grow. Okay, you learned about this in 5th grade science class. Okay, I remember learning about this in 5th grade science class. That's why I brought that up. So, farmland is already being seized in Iowa via eminent domain to build mechanical infrastructure that will render Earth's atmosphere inhospitable to plant life, animal life, human life. It is allowed to continue to operate. Okay? It's almost like a scene ripped right out of the film Oblivion. Have you ever watched that movie, Oblivion? Okay. Where giant ocean harvesting machines suck the water right off of the planet, abandoning the remaining human survivors on a barren, dead world that was ransacked by aliens. But in this case, it's the planet's air that's being stripped of carbon, the God element here that is very basis of life on Earth, okay? And the terraforming project being unleashed against planet Earth right now is called Heartland Greenway. And it camouflages its true intent under the cover of green initiatives. Hashtag Green New Deal. Okay. So the website for this project, and it's in this article. So if you want to write this down or just wait until you click on the article so you can click on this, this website, it's called heartlandgreenway.com. And there you're going to find like admissions that it's all about sucking carbon dioxide molecules out of the atmosphere and burying them underground where plants can't use the molecules for photosynthesis. Okay. An actual CO2 pipeline is being constructed across 5 of these U.S. states to transport liquefied CO2 and bury it underground. And the pipeline across Iowa and has branches to South Dakota, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Illinois. Okay? And farmers, they're powerless to stop this project, which is being pushed via eminent domain. Now, Des Moines County engineer Brian Carter told the Board of Supervisors that during the board's regular meeting that Navigator Heartland Greenway LLC is pushing for a carbon capture pipeline to transport liquid carbon dioxide through 5 Midwestern states. And an October letter to broker, that's BROEKER, from Iowa Utilities Board gives notice that Navigator has developed a proposal to build and operate large-scale carbon capture pipeline system in your county that will convert carbon dioxide to a liquid form, then transport it via pipeline to a permanent underground sequestration site. Now, I don't know for sure that we have a whole lot of say in this county-wise, but shockingly, no media outlets there are bothering to tell farmers about this CO2 in the single most important molecule for plant growth. Globalists are literally seizing farmers' lands to erect a terraforming infrastructure that will ultimately make crops nearly impossible to grow. This is an irrefutable scientific fact. It's all confirmed in the process of photosynthesis. Okay? All plants need CO2 in order to carry out photosynthesis, the single most important biochemical process for life on Earth. Without CO2, all life on planet Earth ceases to exist. There it is, plain English. Okay? That's science 101, 5th grade knowledge. Right there. Okay? And photosynthesis has 3 inputs. All right? It's sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. From these 3 inputs, plants produce energy to grow and flourish. Without CO2, all plants die across the entire planet. All human beings and animals are made of carbon. And most of that carbon starts in the atmosphere. Through photosynthesis, the carbon is used by plants to make various molecules, proteins, okay? And when humans eat plants or animals, they are effectively consuming the carbon that was once present in the air. In other words, all human beings are made of carbon from the air, and without carbon in the atmosphere, life cannot exist on this planet. Carbon dioxide is the God molecule for life on Earth, and carbon is the God element, okay, that supports all life. Now, when Earth had an abundant supply of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, it was greener, wetter, more lush, with vast rainforests covering areas that are now deserts, such as many areas of like the Middle East. Okay? When CO2 is depleted in the atmosphere, Earth becomes colder, drier, more inhospitable planet with far less food production potential. When NASA talks about terraforming Mars and transforming it into a planet that can support forests and animals and rivers and oceans and human colonies, the number 1 molecule that needed to achieve this is carbon dioxide. The reason Mars can't be terraformed right now is because it lacks carbon dioxide. If you take CO2 out of the Earth's atmosphere, you turn it into a planet more like Mars, lifeless, cold, completely unsuitable for human survival. You effectively crush human civilization on a planetary basis. The removal of CO2 from the atmosphere is a planetary scale genocide. Yet, this is exactly what the Heartland Greenway project aims to do. All under the language of reducing your carbon footprint. Decarbonization is, in other words, depopulation. So the war on carbon is a war on carbon-based life, and that is us. Decarbonization is depopulation. Eliminating carbon means eliminating the human race. Furthermore, the shutting down of fossil fuel pipelines is attacking the Haber process that uses hydrocarbons to transform nitrogen in the air into ammonia NH3, making the nitrogen available to plants. About half of the current world population depends on the Haber process in order to eat. I talked about this in an earlier video about the Haber process, okay, if you remember. Without hydrocarbons, literally half of the world dies of starvation. Starving us out, if you remember I said that, okay? Now, shutting down the natural gas, oil, fossil fuels is a direct attack on the Haber process, which means fertilizer Hence, I said that in an earlier video, okay? Fertilizer production gets shut down. It's already happening. Without fertilizer, you can't feed the world. And without low-cost hydrocarbons from fossil fuels, guess what? No fertilizer. Okay? So, mass starvation is already baked in for 2022, affecting most developing nations and even some from first world nations, hence USA. All right? So, mass starvation will happen next year due to the shutdown of fertilizer plants. But terraforming the planet to remove CO2 from the atmosphere will take many years to fully achieve, but perhaps even decades. They are launching the pilot projects right now using printed fiat currency to fund it. Once the concept is proven, they will expand their terraforming machines across the planet, ransacking the atmosphere and depriving the plant life of molecules that are desperately needed to produce food, oxygen, biodiversity. Pollinators will collapse. Food crops will fall. Human civilization will be utterly destroyed. Decarbonization is total war on life on Earth. Yet we have to stop this decarbonization. And that's it. That's you know, if they don't get us one way, they'll get us another way. End of story. End of story. All right. That's it. I'm done. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. You stay safe. You stay positive. You keep prepping. And as always, fear less. Ciao.